Welcome to the ReaLife Hoops Podcast with Danny Cooper and
Sam Ostry.
Today we have our first official guest. So episode 1, our guy, Jack Forrest. We are super excited to have him.
Welcome, Look a little excited to be here, Jack.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's an honor.
So Jack, our good friend, Jack Forrest is here, current Bucknell basketball player. He's been around the block, former Columbia basketball player, former St. Joe's basketball player. Now he's up at Bucknell. I played high school ball with him. My good friend Danny trains him, or he helps train him currently, and they've become good friends. So we thought it'd be a great first guest. We have a lot to talk about. I don't even know exactly what we're going to talk about. We'll see where this conversation goes. We are going to talk about the NBA draft because we're recording right before the NBA draft tonight. So we're just going to talk about some players that we'd like, do a little mock draft of our own. But Danny, Jack, what else is going on?
Yeah, no, excited to get it started. Jack, why don't you start us off just a little about yourself, kind of where you're at right now with school and everything like that.
Yeah, so as Sam mentioned, I started my career at Columbia, spent a year there, and then wanted to transfer, wanted to get to a little bit higher level of basketball. During that year, I kind of realized like how much basketball really meant to me, and it just didn't really mean that much to the school there, and so I wanted to kind of get a change of pace. And then I went to St. Joe's for my sophomore and junior year. I had a solid sophomore year, and then kind of got derailed by some injuries. And after the end of the season, I just thought it was best that I kind of move on to another opportunity. And so here I am in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm excited for this opportunity for the last 2 years of my college career.
You've been there like a couple weeks now. What are your first impressions of Bucknell? I mean, you went to campus before, right, to take a visit, but you've been there for a couple weeks. What are your first early impressions of the team, the squad, the campus, everything?
Yeah, we got a good squad. And also, I think like Lewisburg isn't as isolated as it kind of seems. I mean, it is way out here, but there's everything that you need up here, and the campus is beautiful. And
you thought it was gonna be pretty isolated. You were saying there's gonna be
Yeah, I thought there was gonna be literally. I mean, there's not that many people here.
I thought it was in like Bumblefuck, PA
yeah,
too.
I actually visited once when I was in high school. It's a pretty nice campus, so I took a tour.
It's a really nice campus. It's a college town. I mean, there's not that many people here.
Yeah, it's a summer.
But everything you need is in the town, and the guys say it's pretty fun during the year, and so yeah, it's not bad at all.
How many other transfers came in with you?
I'm the only transfer, and then we got 4 freshmen.
Okay, so a lot of guys on the team were there last year. They're familiar. They're getting you right. All right, Danny.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I kind of want to go back to a couple questions. So you started at Columbia. Number one for me, I kind of want to know, and our viewers, what is that Ivy League experience like? Being a student athlete, where we hear all the time the rigorous academics of the Ivy League, and then also Division I basketball. And then was there like a moment where you kind of had an epiphany and you were like, I'm not meant to be here, I need to be at a higher level program when you transferred? Kind of talk me through that process.
Yeah. So the Ivy League is no joke. I mean, it's what they say it is, and you're spending 2-3 hours at least a night on work, studying, or at least trying to. And like some kids on my team, freshman year is not easy. Some kids on my team didn't do too well, and it's like really it is a big adjustment going from high school to especially Ivy League and college basketball.
Especially when you only show up to high school half the days.
Yeah, I'm not like
superstar in high school, right?
Oh yeah,
you don't gotta go to class if you're a superstar in high school.
Yeah, I mean it's a big transition from high school to college anyway, and then on top of that, you're have Division I basketball, which makes it all that much harder.
For sure, yeah. So it's kind of the second part of that question. Talk me through, was there like a moment where you were like, I have to go to a higher level program? I'm maybe better than the Ivy League, or I just want a better coaching staff or better experience. Talk me through.
I don't know if there was a moment. It was more just kind of like the sum of my season. And then afterwards, just kind of reflecting on it. There was some like trouble with like gym time. Like I didn't have 24-hour access. Like sometimes there would be intramural sports like on the varsity court, and it was like, I just knew that like if I wanted to get where I want to go, which is to play professionally, that it was going to be hard to do at Columbia, especially with just the sum of everything that happened throughout that season.
And then so you have a good first year once you go to St. Joe's. And in your perspective, you don't have to get too much details, but in your perspective, what went wrong at St. Joe's this past season that made you transfer?
Yeah, I think I was getting hot the end of my sophomore year, and I got injured, and I went down for the last 6 games. I think that hurt me in the eyes of the coaches. I think if I was able to continue kind of that hot streak, like I was just starting to really get off in the A10, and then I went down, and I think they just didn't seem the same when I came back from injury. I thought I had a good summer, and then season didn't start out the way I wanted to. Like the minutes, I wasn't getting what I wanted to, and then I started to get minutes, started to get about 20 a game, and then I went down with a back injury. And that kind of derailed the season. And then I came back for like the last 6 or 7 games and wasn't playing all that much. But I just don't think me and the coaches are on the same page about where I wanted to be by the end of the season. So I thought it was just the best to kind of move on and find another opportunity.
For sure. Yeah. And I think adding on to that, there's a lot of talk about the transfer portal nowadays, and it's kind of being stigmatized where, guys are maybe not getting playing time in their first year and they're kind of running from that situation. But I feel like in your case specifically, it's more unique, and it wasn't the sense of you're running from competition or you're running from that. I really feel like you were just kind of yearning for like that perfect fit for you. So for a high school recruit, what can they do at a high school to ensure that like their first college experience is that obviously it's never going to be perfect, but that first college that they go to is going to be the place for them. Whereas maybe for you, you had to bounce around a couple times before you found what seems like will be a great fit for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's really tough. And I mean, there's so many things that go into it, just like the school experience, the basketball experience, like what your teammates are like. I think it's hard to kind of give like a template, and I think there's probably some luck involved. I'd say the biggest thing is going to a good program where you know that they're producing good results for guys that you've seen come before you. And then if you don't play your first year, that's not the end of the world. Like you have 3 more years. And I think I probably place a little bit too much emphasis on I need to play right away. I need to play as a freshman. So I think going to a program where you've seen them have success and then kind of building into that success would be the advice I would give someone looking to commit.
And I mean, and that's my thing with the transfer portal. Sorry, the draft is about to go, and apparently Woj just tweeted that Paolo Banchero is actually under serious consideration to be the #1 overall pick now. And it's not
that's an Osh bomb right there.
It's a Woj bomb. I'm just reading it, but it's not a lock. Though I mean, this will be released after. I just had to say that. Well, yeah, we're talking about the transfer portal. Like that's it's kind of a love-hate relationship with the transfer portal as someone like from the outside who's doesn't have to transfer schools for basketball related reasons, because like you say, like obviously some situations aren't the best, but at the same time everyone can just run from adversity now. Like you don't have those situations, and sometimes if there's coaching change or something really drastic happens, but you don't have those situations where you stick it out. And really the only program where you see that, where you have that trust, has been Villanova over the last few years. Like a guy like Eric Dixon. Like normally at other programs, someone like that would transfer, but he believes in that coaching staff, believes in that program. He didn't play for 2 years, didn't play at all freshman year, didn't really play a lot sophomore year, and as a junior flourished, and now he's going to be a star for them next year too. So I mean, like that's so rare, but I just think more people just run for adversity right now, and the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's not always going to be better when you do transfer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jack, you go, and then I'll.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it's just Villanova. I think that's probably because it's regional for you. But like, I mean, Gonzaga, like Iowa, some of the Big Ten schools, like they have homegrown talent, and they have guys that are coming up in their programs. And I mean, you see in the NBA too, homegrown talent. You guys were talking about this on your last episode. Homegrown talent is always the best because you're learning the system, you're playing in the system, you're playing with the guys, and then guys that you bring in, they kind of just adopt the culture. So I think
it's different when there's free agency in college basketball, like every single year now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there's pros and cons, because if you have homegrown guys and bring in transfers, they can kind of adopt the culture and have been around college basketball. I mean, you can see with like Caleb Daniels was a transfer into Nova. And if they can adopt that and kind of elevate the level of play, I mean, that can be beneficial. But I think homegrown talent will always be the best source of talent for all levels of basketball.
Yeah, and Sam, it's interesting that you bring up the grass isn't always greener because I'm a Division III player and I was actually in the transfer portal and had a couple decent options, but I ultimately decided that the grass wasn't greener and I ended up staying at Moravian. And I don't think it's just a college problem, so to speak, if you want to call it. I think it's a big high school thing now. I mean, you see high school freshmen like not playing their freshman year and they're out and they're transferring. So I mean, I don't know. I think like Jack said, there definitely are pros and cons, but I mean,
Well, it's also, I mean, when you talk about the transfer portal now, you kind of have to talk about, I mean, this is for some of the bigger guys, but you kind of have to talk about NIL because it is like we're talking about big names, big time programs, but it is a money thing too. Like if someone thinks that they can get more money somewhere else, even if it's not going to be the best for their future in that particular sport, like if someone's in a better basketball situation, but they may make more money elsewhere, they're probably going to go elsewhere. So it's also like when you talk about the transfer portal, it really goes hand in hand with NIL, which sometimes can be pay for play right now.
right, yeah, and I think in a way right now we're in a very selfish like kind of me era, if that makes sense. Like everyone's, which is not a necessarily bad thing, but everyone's kind of looking out for themselves. Like you just said, like I'm trying to get my money, I'm trying to be in the best fit possible. So, yeah.
I would say on the flip side, like if you look at the NBA right now, it's all about player empowerment and guys doing what's best for their career because it's a business at the end of the day. College basketball is still a business.
For sure.
And so like one of the deciding factors for my decision was like I have 5 years now because of the coronavirus, but you have a limited time to have a basketball playing career and you want to make the most of it however you can. And so you're saying, I mean, like guys that get an NIL money, like that's probably like the top 2% of all.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Players. So, I mean, most guys are just looking for a better playing situation. And it's tough because you see guys that are just like, I mean, I'm on my third school and other guys are on their third schools and some people have never played. And it looks like they're kind of running. But, I mean, I think the biggest thing is guys just looking for an opportunity.
For sure. I think it's a good time to circle back a little bit to your high school days. For those who don't know, Jack played at Lower Merion High School, which is Kobe Bryant's alma mater. So I kind of
my teammate.
Well, and Sam's teammate, but I was a rival high school, Plymouth White Marsh, both storied programs. But from the outside looking in, we've always kind of heard of the Lower Merion Brotherhood and like, just kind of how great of a program it is. So I kind of want to know a couple things. What was it like playing in that program? With all of the history with Kobe, and then kind of, when you found out about Kobe's passing and kind of how it's impacted you, and you keep his memory living on today. So,
yeah, I mean, I think Sam can speak to this too, but at Lower Merion, one of the assistants played with Kobe, and then our head coach actually coached Kobe. And so they kind of just like, they embody that everything he's about and bring it into the program. And they kind of instill like a work ethic and the way they run practices is all about hard work and kind of that grit and grind that kind of defines Kobe. And then when we were able to meet him and sit down with him, it just kind of like, it opens your eyes. Like they really are taking this and they probably instilled it in him too. But I mean, it's a legendary program and it's a public school and they just come back every year and reload and somehow find a way to be good every year. Sam, you could speak on like, I know
yeah, I mean, yeah, if it's not,
what do you want me to speak on? What?
If it's not too much of a touchy subject, I think, I don't know, maybe, when you heard of his passing or how it's impacted you or how you kind of, live on today through his kind of principles, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. I mean, anyone who knows me knows that he was my idol and a huge inspiration. Obviously that poster right behind there, it's it's a poster of him, but then it's his message that he wrote to me, "Do epic shit," which is also the background on my phone when we met him out in LA, like Jack was talking about. I mean, anyone who knows me knows like how important he was, his motto, everything he stands for, and just in terms of his mentality. And then in his post-playing career, he was pursuing careers in media, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And he was building a career in media, a media empire, really. And I mean, that's what I'm doing in sports media. And Jack was there when we had the opportunity to meet. And, he told me that if I needed anything, I could let him know and he would help me out. And he said I had golden vocals and he was just supportive. And I met him a few months later again and interviewed him. where I got to ask him a question at an event in Philly, and he remembered exactly who I was, said similar things, said if I ever need anything to reach out and let him know. And obviously his passing was incredibly emotional for me, and I know it was for Jack, and really everyone connected to Lower Merion. He's just like, even since his death, he's continued to inspire us. And like, I didn't know we were going to be talking about going deep on Kobe. It's definitely a touchy subject, but he's I still like to live through him and his mantra and everything he meant to me and Lower Merion.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I was even going to say, there's very few people, I feel like, in our short lifetime who have, made such an impact across the globe on people who have never met him. So when I heard about it, my roommate, Harrison Clevin, you guys are friends with him as well. He was
Clev gets the shout out.
Played for Lower Merion, and he kind of told us, and we were just all in disbelief. And I've never experienced something where, I've had family members pass, and obviously, that was really devastating as well. But I was just emotionally just out of it for a couple of weeks, just because, he was just such a powerful figure, and you look up to him, like shed some tears, seeing Clev was just really upset. And it was just, I hope one day, like, I'll be able to leave a tiny fraction of a legacy that Kobe did, so where, after I pass, people are, impacted that same way. So,
yeah. And I mean, like, I feel like I was like one of his biggest, I feel like I was a huge fan of him. And I don't even think I realized like how many people he really inspired and how deep his connections went all across the world. I mean, me and Jack would be working out in Lower Merion, and like people from China would come just to like see the gym, see
Crazy.
some of the memorabilia. So like we knew that, but I don't think anyone realized how incredibly like powerful of a figure he was in the sports world and outside the sports world until after he passed. All right, well, let's get away from this.
I was gonna say, I think now is a good time.
No more. Let's no more interviewing. Let's get into some. I know Jack has a lot to say about some of the takes we have and opinions that we have. So let's get into some debate, and things will come up. Let's start with this. Danny, you had a tweet like a little while ago, and I told you guys I was going to bring this up.
Oh, bringing out the receipts.
I am bringing out the receipts.
Here we go.
You had a tweet about, you said that Division III and Division I hoopers, their skill set, there's not that big of a gap. The really difference is their size, their athleticism, but in terms of their skill set, there's really not that big of a gap. You two play with each other all the time. You guys play ones. You get one. There's a Division I hooper and a Division III hooper.
We all need to bring up those ones, but
all right. Well, I'm just saying.
Jack don't want to bring up those ones.
But I know Jack has a problem with that.
Really dark for Danny Cooper. Well, let's put it that way.
What's the average score of a one-on-one game? I know you play spots, but
let's just say he didn't win a single spot all summer.
Whoa. That's just not true. I have the footage.
Pull it up. Put it on the pod. Cut to the.
Honestly,
we're gonna cut that footage.
I might cut it in, but
right,
that'll be cool. But no, I mean, I think.
No, but I want you. No, but I seriously, I want Jack to respond to that. If you
all right, Jack,
you
you respond first, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the top percentile of Division III hoopers, like some of them could probably handle physicality, and some of them probably have the skills to play D2 or D1. The physicality is definitely the biggest difference, and that's what I think high school guys see when they first get to college, is like, this is a really physical game, and you probably don't realize that until you get to college. But I mean, I think when you tweeted that, it kind of made it seem like the vast majority of D3 guys have the skills to play D1, and it's like, I'm not trying to shit on D3, but
no, for sure, yeah.
Division I is one of the hardest things to do out of high school, at least. And if it was that easy, more guys would do it.
Yeah, I think kind of from my standpoint, I'm looking at, my skills, and not saying I should be Division I, but it's funny because like when I train you, like I'll have some skills that you don't even know how to do yet, and like I'll show you. So I think that was more of the standpoint where I was coming from. Like,
I think that's because you're a trainer and you study the game and you're around other trainers. Like an average Division III hooper would never have those moves.
I
also think your skill level is above most Division III hoopers.
Right. So
you kind of bring yourself to a point where like you have a high level of skill, but most guys in Division III aren't like that.
Right. So yeah, looking back at the tweet, it was definitely a little, more me oriented, I guess. Like I was thinking of my skills, but I mean, no, when we played Delaware this year, and when I play against Jack, I mean, the main factor for me is like sometimes I just can't even go anywhere just because of their length and size and speed. So that's kind of what I was bringing up. But I mean, D3 hoopers can really the top D3 hoopers can really hoop. So I just wanted to, I throw some stuff on Twitter sometimes. Just wanted to shed some light on life as a D3 hooper, baby. So yeah.
Yeah, well, no. So I mean, just like I think Jack's right where you talk about like the percentage at the top, like it's even like the high majors, even like the difference between high majors and like low majors in terms of just D1. I think that is more about like the size and the athleticism and the strength than it is necessarily the skill set. But when it comes, I mean, I can't sit here and act like I watch a lot of Division III basketball, but but from what I
you gotta tune in next year.
I got you. I'll
D3 All American. We coming, baby.
You guys in Tufts, I'll tune into. So, but like I feel like in Division III compared to that, just from I don't know, like seeing Division III guys and pick up and just seeing them around, I feel like there's definitely a huge gap in terms of skill set too. Of course, it's size and athleticism, and if some of those guys were stronger and bigger, it would be different. But just in terms of skill, I also feel like there's a significant difference.
You talked about your injuries, and we wanna focus more than just the hoop side. We want to think about the mental side. So talk about kind of how you dealt with, you said a back injury, an ankle injury mentally. I know you're into meditation. Kind of talk about that. Hoopers don't really hear that stuff a lot. So I think you can really help a lot of young hoopers out there, how they can deal with their mental also. So.
Yeah. I mean, on a serious note, like there are some dark days when you're injured, and thank God, like I haven't had a real, like an ACL or meniscus or anything really serious. Like I've only been out for 7 weeks at a time. But 2 stints, it's like it's a long time to not hoop for, especially during a season. Like both of my injuries happened during the season, and both times I felt like I was just getting rolling. And so yeah, it's tough. I mean, and they're dark days, and you kind of just have to grind out the rehab and kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, I mean, advice I would give is just keep everything in perspective. Like you're blessed to be able to play basketball at the Division I level, or I mean, even if you're not at Division I level, you're best to be able to play basketball.
Division III.
Yeah, wherever you are. But specifically for D1 guys, like you go to school for free, and so you got to keep that in perspective. It's like you might be injured now, but you're going to be able to get back at some point, especially with the where sports medicine is at right now. But yeah, there are definitely some dark days during injuries. You touched on a little bit like the meditation and some of the other mental health stuff, and I think like as I've gotten older, I've just like looked for different things that have kind of calmed my mind, and meditation is one of those things where I'll kind of sit with myself and my breath, and that's helped me. It's helped me with my sleep, and really all aspects of my life. I think
meditation's good for everything.
Meditation.
Yeah, I remember you did it on the beach in Manhattan Beach, and I thought you were crazy because I can't sit still for more than 5 seconds. So.
Well, you were just doing hot yoga, Dan. Isn't that
I did just do hot yoga. I'm trying to integrate it more into my life because I need some of that. So yeah.
There's this book called The Mindful Athlete. And he actually
who's the author?
Wrote it. Go ahead.
Who's the author?
George Mumford. So he worked with Kobe and those Lakers teams, and also Jordan. And so Phil Jackson hired him to kind of like just work with their guys, have them sit in a room and just breathe and get in their own minds.
Well, Phil Jackson's the meditation king, huge.
Yeah.
Then
so I never heard that hired, and it's called like a mindful athlete, the secret to pure performance. And it kind of
a book club. We're starting a book club here. Danny, you got a book to recommend?
It's a good book.
Yeah, I do have some books. I've gotten away from reading the last couple months, but I definitely want to get back. I mean, number one, I would recommend Rich Dad Poor Dad just to learn about, finances and money. That's the great book. But yeah, I mean that's my top one. I got some other ones, but we'll
start a little book club here on the ReaLife Hoops podcast.
We can.
All right. Well, Jack, I know you have I feel like I know you have a problem with a lot of the takes that I have, a lot of takes that Danny has. Is there anything you want to shed a light on? I thought you were gonna like just in terms of me, not just that one specific take, just the media in general. Like we've had debates about like you are like a big Draymond new media person.
I'm not. Don't go that far. It's like I'm not like a huge Draymond guy. Like I don't think his podcast is that great.
I'm not talking about him in general. I'm saying you agree with.
I think Draymond's great.
How many podcasts have you listened to?
A lot. I've listened to a lot of his podcasts.
Clips or real podcasts?
I've listened to at least like 3 or 4 of his last episodes.
A lot of his podcasts is just like Warriors propaganda. Like the Dubs are the goats. Like that's
Yeah, but he backs that shit up.
Well, I mean, he didn't for the first 3 games, and then he kind of turned it around.
But he backs it up.
No,
I'm not saying
he's a great player. He's a great player, and I think the player perspective is something that can't be replicated in the media. And that's why the new media is so good. I mean, I think like certain guys, like I think CJ McCollum's actually gotten better. Sam, you're saying
JJ's great.
JJ is amazing. We know that CJ was better the last appearance on ESPN. I was actually listening to something today. It was part of it was like all of Draymond's like the clout that he's getting from as a media member. Most of it is shitting on like other media members and kind of like exposing their takes. So when he talks about the new media, it wasn't me who said this. I forget where I was listening to, but it was more this like his new media and his version of the new media kind of relies on like the old media. Like without the old media, he can't give these
he's just trying to like get people like he's trying to get your attention and like and
that's what the media does. So it's not a new media.
His job is going to be replacing Charles Barkley. Like that's
he'll be great on a set like TNT.
What he meant by the new media was just like actual basketball players coming on and spitting actual game about the game of basketball. So you have guys like, no disrespect, like this is not no shots, but like you guys like Stephen A, Skip Bayless, who weren't in the NBA. They don't know what it's actually like. And now you have guys like JJ, CJ McCollum, Draymond Green, who actually go on TV and talk about the game and actually understand the X's and O's.
I agree.
That's what he's saying the new media is. It's not bullshit debates on like fucking Kyrie and KD every day. Like that's not what it is.
But at the same time, like he calls out Kendrick Perkins all the time. Kendrick Perkins played, and he knows basketball more than most people.
He said
he calls him out.
He said Big Perk's turning into the old media now.
Yeah, no,
carry the hell on.
I think the biggest thing, and there's this clip of it's like Mark Cuban destroys Skip Bayless, but basically
we talked about the clip.
The whole essence of you talked about on the last.
No, you and me have talked about it before.
Yeah, so the whole essence of the clip is that the old media speaks in complete generalities, and it's like, oh, LeBron folded under pressure, like
right.
He couldn't do anything, like he just collapsed under scrutiny, like all that type of stuff. And it's like there's more to the game of basketball than the media narratives, and there's things that other teams do to shut down players, and like obviously that was an awful series for LeBron, the one that they were talking about versus the Mavs, but like they did things in that series that it wasn't just about LeBron folding under pressure. Obviously, like when you're a superstar like LeBron, you need to be able to perform no matter what the defense throws at you, and you're gonna get criticized regardless. But it's like some of the stuff seems a little bit like bullshit.
Like yes, but I agree. But when you put the entire like media into the umbrella of people like Skip and Stephen A, and I'm not a fan of Skip, but I love Stephen A. Everyone knows that. But like when you put the entire umbrella into those guys who run debate shows and are literally trying to get reactions and trying to entertain the public, as opposed to, okay, there's a ton of great podcasts like the Zach Lowe podcast when he is breaking down that stuff of it's nice, not speaking in generalities. He's breaking down of, okay, what's happening in this series? Why is like he did a great piece about the adjustments in the middle of the Warriors Celtics series about the pick and roll and all that stuff. Like he legitimately was breaking down why this is happening, why Jason Tatum is struggling in the series, what they're doing. And so when you just put all the new media or the media in general into this umbrella of, okay, the people on the most rated ESPN shows trying to get these clicks, it's not really fair. There's also a lot of written pieces that are out there, and like the media is such a wide net. And when you just boil it down to the people who make the most noise or get paid the most, like Stephen A, when they're really more entertainers than they are journalists or media members, I would say. Like Stephen A is an entertainer and he's phenomenal at it, but he's more of an entertainer than he is someone who actually covers the game of basketball.
Yeah, that's fair.
I agree.
Good point.
I agree.
Yeah, so it's just not like really fair when Draymond does that. But
the thing is, I wonder what the percent of eyes on Stephen A, Skip Bayless, and like the type of entertainers you're talking about versus the rest of the media. The rest, like, what's the breakdown? It's probably a lot of eyes.
Yeah, because those shows do well because they're entertainers and it brings in money. So like obviously they're gonna like First Take's one of their highest rated shows, so they're gonna have more ad revenue and all that stuff. So they're gonna bring in more money. So they're gonna amplify it, and because they amplify it, people like Draymond, KD, and all these people see it and they talk about it. But I don't know.
Cool. All right. Well, if we don't, do we have anything else we want to kind of discuss? I mean, if not, we can get into our segment.
I'm ready to go in the segment.
I have one thing I need to bring up.
Bring it up.
So Sam gave a take. After what game it was? I think it was in the Western Conference Finals.
It was one of the blowouts. You could have chosen any one.
Might have been the semis. He said that because games.
Well, I feel like I should say the take.
Yeah, you give the take. Because
you're gonna like.
Wait. This was Warriors versus Mavs.
No, it might have been semis. It might have been Warriors.
I think it was Warriors, Memphis.
Okay.
And the take was essentially that, like, there was an insane amount of blowouts throughout the playoffs. Like, there was a stretch where no game was within like 12 points, or one game was within 12 points out of like 12 games or something. It was just blowout after blowout in that second round series. The Celtics blew out the Bucks in that game 7, and later that night, this is when I was really mad because I was sat down for these game 7s, and then the Mavs blew out the Suns in that game 7. And the take was that the competitive spirit of the current generation of players is contributing to the more of the blowouts that we're seeing. That was the take. Before you say your opinion, Jack, Danny, what do you think about that?
So let me get this straight. So you were saying that because the guys are not as competitive, that was leading to blowouts?
Yes.
He's saying past generations were more competitive than the current generation. You are that. I mean,
comparison by nature. I don't like to speak on things that I'm not that educated on. I'm honestly not that educated on like the past generation's competitiveness, but I mean, from recent like stuff, I mean, the Grizzlies seem like they're dogs. I mean, Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant, they don't duck any smoke. So like, I feel like it's more like today's day and age of the way that it's played that's leading to blowouts. Like, I don't think it was the Grizzlies not competing. Like Ja wants all the smoke. Like he's calling.
That's a factor too. But part of it was like a lot of these series, like a team would go up 2-0, and then that team that was up 2-0 would go into that game without a lot of energy. It was clear like they just didn't have it that day. They wouldn't come with a lot of energy. They weren't trying to play hard.
That was the team that was down. The team that was up 2-0 didn't come with a lot of energy.
The team that was up 2-0, and then the team that was down.
Well, now you're just talking human psychology.
Yeah, I mean,
you're up.
That's part of competitive
not everyone's Kobe Bryant though. I mean, you're up 2-0.
It wasn't just.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't just Kobe. It was more that generation of players who had that mentality to close the deal. We're talking about the NBA champions this year lost the playoff game by 40 plus points.
I mean,
they didn't play their guys probably in the entire fourth quarter.
They were losing at 30 at halftime. They didn't try that game. If you watch the game, they had no energy, no competitive spirit, zero.
But I think
that's the champion.
It doesn't make sense. But like, if you're down 30, why play your guys if you're up 2-0?
Okay, but how do you go down 30? That's the point.
I think in a 7-game series, I mean, you're gonna shit might happen. I mean, if shots aren't falling, Curry, they lost? No, they won that game where Curry went 0 for 9, right?
Yeah, they won that.
But I'm just saying, like, shit happens throughout the season, throughout the series. Like, sometimes it's just not your night. That's how it is. I don't think that's really a competitive, spirit.
I like, it came about because I was just trying to think about like why are we seeing more blowouts in this playoffs than I can ever remember in the previous playoffs.
three pointers.
But that's been that is a factor.
You know what I'm saying? Though? Yeah, I mean,
I know the influx of threes that are being taken, but that's also been a thing the last few years, and I just can't remember this many blowouts. There being this many blowouts.
It's getting more inflated every year.
Yes, the influx of 3-pointers.
And my problem with the take is that these guys are the best competitors in the world. Like, you don't get to the NBA without being a top percent.
No one's saying they're not good competitors.
But you're also saying that like this didn't happen in the past. Like, teams wouldn't go up 2-0 and then lose the third game. Like,
they probably would. There's just there has. I'm not saying it's the main factor. You're right. That probably threes are the main factor. My point is that it has to contribute just the mindset of guys. Like and like the current generation that we're a part of, the mindset of people like when they're when they're competing like that in any facet.
Yeah, I mean, you could bring up a lot of stuff. I mean, that can go all the way back to AAU culture where you have 6 games in a weekend, you don't care if you win. But I mean,
we're part of a participation trophy generation too.
Right? Like, no, we are. But I don't know. I feel like if you're getting
what's that, Jack?
I said I've never gotten a participation trophy.
I feel like if you're getting
always bring that up.
I feel like if you're getting to the league, like you're a different breed and a different type of competitor. But I definitely hear what you're saying. I mean, I think a lot of times it just comes down to human psychology, really. I mean, you're up 2-0, you're complacent. That's kind of what happens. But
you're right. My point was just that I was trying to brainstorm of why these blowouts are happening, and it came to mind watching these games when it's like you just knew when a team was gonna win some nights. You knew when a team was gonna start.
Fair brainstorm.
Bad take. We'll move on.
Okay. All right, we've gone really long. The draft is starting right now. Let's do our starting five.
Yeah,
segment.
Sam, do you want to kind of just introduce what this segment is, or I mean,
yeah.
I guess...
So this is going to be one of the segments that Danny and I do regularly on the show. It's going to be called Starting Five. It's really just going to be a draft with me, Danny, and our guest, where we pick any topic. You know, it could be like the best cities in America. It could be best basketball movies one time, which we'll probably do at some point. But it is NBA draft night. The draft just started, actually. Did the first pick go? Was it Paula?
I don't know. I recorded it. I kind of didn't want to even look, but
I mean, I'm gonna say whatever it is. Oh,
Yeah,
yep, it was Boncaro. I don't know
Wow.
what happened all day. That was a huge smoke screen by the Magic. How they somehow, like Woj was saying all day, it was Jabari. Every single mock draft I saw, every single one.
yeah, this one I'm looking at has Paulo at 3.
Every single one at Jabari.
Yeah, everyone.
number
It was
one.
Yeah, it was Jabari, Chet, Paolo.
Paolo
Interesting.
never worked out for the Magic once,
Wow.
but he goes number one. Well, we're gonna talk about him when we do this draft, but
Yeah.
all right.
How are we
let's
gonna
draft.
do?
All right.
Do we give our guest first pick? Is that
Yeah,
how
we'll
it's
give our
gonna
guest
work?
first pick. So all this is we're drafting players who are in this current draft that are going to be drafted tonight of who we want to build our team around or start our team with. So it's not going to be the order at all that they're actually selected tonight, but what we think about who we'd want to build our team around. And yeah, Jack can go first.
I will take Jabari Smith. What the Magic should have done.
Why? You want to offer a little explanation?
I'll take third pick because I want the snake, so I want 3 and 4.
Okay, you got this.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I think it's hard to miss in the top 3. I mean, it's so once you get to that level of talent, it's like
Yeah.
really hard to choose.
Well,
probably just going for.
well, people miss in the top 3 all the time.
I know, but I'm saying, like everyone's evaluating the same guys.
This
Yeah.
would be cool to look back
Like, you
on.
did about Markelle Fultz. Like he was a top 3 consensus top 3 pick.
Yeah,
I wanted,
it's interesting.
I wanted De'Aaron Fox over Markelle Fultz for the record, but yeah.
It would have been a little bit better, but
You know,
I know,
it
but
is
De'Aaron
interesting
Fox
because
is a
when you look at the top 3s of the last few years, like the only one I can remember where it's like this is an unreal top 3 is in recent years at least is Zion, Ja, and RJ.
What about, wasn't it LaMelo and Edwards?
Yeah, but that's still so young.
They're
Like,
tough.
yeah,
Who that is, but who was that? Who was that third guy?
I don't know who the third guy was.
I can't remember, but like I'm just going back. Like that was 2019 Zion's draft, but like, I'm just going back a few years. Like Lonzo, Markelle, Jason Tatum, that didn't work out.
All right, we gotta speed this up. So,
All right, whatever. So what'd you take?
I took Jabari Smith. I think.
All right, I'm going Chet. I think he is the biggest gap between
James Wiseman went second in front of LaMelo.
Okay, well we'll see. We'll see how that
You
pans
took
out.
Chet?
Yeah, I think he's the biggest in terms of the gap between his floor and his ceiling. I know he kind of gets pushed around a little bit, but I don't think he's necessarily soft. I just think he's weak, and I think he's going to gain more muscle. I just think he's so skilled on the perimeter. Yeah, I'm taking Chet. I think he's going to be the best player in this draft.
All right, I'm going to take Paolo, and then I'm going to take Mini John Morant, Jaden Ivey.
Solid pick.
Yes, sir, Ski.
So who's good?
It's
You're
you,
up.
Sam.
Oh, it's me. I'm taking Keegan Murray because I actually think people always like to like kind of hate when guys like 22 or 23, but if you watch Keegan Murray play in person twice this past year, he has insane pace when he plays. I think he's one of the most NBA ready guys in this entire draft.
I'm gonna take Ben Mathurin from Arizona. I love the way he played this year. I love the kind of fire he played with. I think he's gonna be a great NBA player.
Write your team down so you know.
I don't know. I don't know some of these like G League guys. I'll take Johnny Davis with my next pick.
That's pretty. That's pretty high, but he's
Yeah,
projected like outside the top 10.
I'm not take Shaedon Sharp or Dyson Daniels.
Okay.
Yep.
Wait, so you took
Johnny.
Johnny Davis?
Yep.
All right, I'm taking Shaden Sharp. I think it's kind of concerning he didn't play at all Kentucky. His film's really only from high school, but by all accounts, he can shoot the hell out of the ball. And he has catch and shoot off the dribble guy. He has a really high ceiling. Apparently, he's boom or bust. I'm taking Shaden Sharp.
Well, my team's gonna be tough, so I'm drafting more for like a starting five. Like I want my squad back to back. I'm gonna go Jalen Duren out of Memphis and Philly. And then I'm going to go my guy, Mark Williams, got to help out, train him in Philly for.
You said you're drafting a starting five, then you took two of the same exact players.
No, so I got Jalen at the 4, Mark at the 5, and then I got
Jalen is not playing the 4.
And then I got Paolo at the 3, and I got Ivy at the 2, and you're gonna like my 1 who I take later on.
Dan, did you ever play against Jalen? Me and Jack play against him.
I did not, but I
he was out of college. He was in college.
Yeah.
Oh, because he was a freshman. We were seniors. All right, so it's my turn. Damn, I wanted Mark Williams. I'll take AJ Griffin out of Duke. I think he can create for his own. The next will probably get him tonight, but I like AJ Griffin.
I'll take Ochai Agbaji out of Kansas.
Solid pick.
Yeah, I love the way he plays. I love the way he shoots it and kind of the confidence he played with. And he also played within their system. I mean, if he was at another school, like he really could have got his shots up. But him and who's the white Christian Brown.
Yeah.
Both played like within that system. Any other school, they could have got their shots up. I guess I'll take Dyson Daniels.
Interesting. He's a wild card, but
yeah, he's a wild card. I haven't watched him enough. I've seen like clips, but he's in the lottery, so he's on my team.
So that's your 5. All right, my turn to wrap up my 5. I'll go Jeremy Sochan out of, I think that's how you pronounce the name, out of Baylor. He's probably the best defender in the draft. I would say he's the best defender in the draft. He's a great rebounder. He's tenacious. I think he's going to be a very solid. As my 5th guy on this team, I think he'll be solid.
With my 5th pick, because I don't know that many people in this draft, I need a point guard. I'm going to go Colin Gillespie from Villanova.
Out of here, bro. He's not even going to be drafted.
Can I add an honorary member?
Well, first, hold on. Let me say why.
You have the worst team.
Let me say why. First off, you look at the Villanova track record in the NBA. Jalen Brunson was frying in the playoffs.
Yeah, but Jalen Brunson was drafted.
Let me talk. Hold on. Let me talk. I gotta support. Peyton Pritchard, your small white guys. There's going to be a new wave.
He was also a late first, early second round guy.
There's gonna be a new wave of small white guys in the NBA. We got Peyton Pritchard killing it. We got Mac McClung coming in, and now we got Colin Gillespie. So
those players are so much more NBA ready than Colin Gillespie.
We're gonna have them vote in the comments. So Jack, why don't you say your team and then we'll go through.
I can't believe you actually just took Colin Gillespie. They're not going to be drafted tonight.
I don't care. I told you I'm taking the best 5 as a team. He's going to bring great team chemistry. Let's go. Come on.
Okay. You got Jalen Duren at the 4.
Okay, say your team. They're going to vote in the comments.
I took Jabari Smith, Ben Mathurin, Johnny Davis, Dyson Daniels, and Ochai Agbaji.
I took Chet Holmgren, Keegan Murray, Shaden Sharp, AJ Griffin, Jeremy Sochan. I mean, I obviously have the best team. But
all right, my starting 5: Colin Gillespie, Jaden Ivey, Paolo Banchero, Jalen Duren, and Mark Williams. Squad.
It's an unbelievable starting 5.
Squad.
All right, we're done.
That was fun.
We're wrapping up. Great stuff, Jack. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you being here. Guest number 1 on episode number 1. It was a good episode. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you next week on the ReaLife Hoops Podcast. For Danny and Sam, we're out.
Thanks for having us.